It's great to talk to all of you. I will do my damnedest to not bore the ever-living crap out of you guys, give you a little bit of kind of where I've been, where I'm at, and where I'm going, and hopefully it'll be of some use to you guys as y'all are entering into the workforce in the next 4 years or less. Hopefully 4 years or less. I'm sure your parents, hopefully 4 years or less. So anyway, again, Jonathan Hamblett, Pledge Class 3. I studied information systems at the College of Business, graduated in '94, and pledged. I think I pledged in the spring of my first year, so 1990 or 91. I tell you, many of the friendships that I made over the course of that time has been invaluable. And it's been invaluable. The experience that I've picked up was really invaluable in the course of my career. And, what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit, like I said, where I've been, what I'm doing now, and where I'm going. And sort of tie in a little bit about how the Brotherhood has really helped me shape who I am. But hopefully you guys use this as not necessarily life lessons, but literally just a way to help navigate your own career. So I started out in information systems and came out of college, and in fact, came out of college in a job with Motorola, and how I got that job was through Ken Way's wife, and at the time girlfriend. And you'll tie all this in, I'll tie all this in as we go through. And really the friendships that I had with Ken and his wife, and a few other brothers came out to Phoenix with me, such as Matt Morissette and Brian Dunkelman and Brian Ventry. There's a whole slew of them. I think Jason Babiak and the names are escaping me right now. But really the support that I had as a brother in an unknown area, newly in the workforce, was something that was absolutely critical to me. And I guess the life lesson that I have there is you can't do everything on your own. And I have to tell you, and I've taken that into my career, in that you really do need to surround yourself with people. And I hate those who say that people that are smarter than you, because at the end of the day, if you're not smarter than the people that are reporting to you, then you shouldn't be in that role. But you really do want to be able to complement your skill set, and that's a lot of what Phi Psi made me realize. So at one point I was vice president, and I had realized that at that time I was a great vision guy, right? I was kind of a strategy guy, and where I really lacked is kind of on the execution side. I was not the greatest of guys to get things done. I was sort of the ideas guy. I was kind of a finance guy, and the computer science of it. It was really interesting for me in realizing that I was such more of a big thinker than I was a detail-oriented guy. So in my career path, I quickly realized within the first 3 years that information systems isn't going to be for me. In realizing that relatively quickly, I started getting into the consulting side. Now, here's sort of just an asterisk on that one. For those that are thinking about the consulting side, it's a great area. But what you need to realize is it's a tough career path if you're not going to make a career out of it. Management consulting, things like Bain or McKinsey, Accenture, so on and so forth, E&Y, all great companies. But if you're going to be in the tech consulting side, that's going to ultimately end up being your career. So just on a sidebar there is I really feel like for a good period of my career when I was a tech consultant, I lost a lot of let's say, momentum in my overall career. But then it came to a point in time where I started having a family. and I know you guys are nowhere near that point, or at least I hope you aren't, but at least what I figured out is, I know where my strengths are, and working with, and knowing Ken, and knowing any of the brotherhood, the brothers, and helping me sort of shape who I am, really started figuring out, okay, this is where I need to start focusing my efforts. And it was really a commercial guy. And when I mean commercial guys, I was a negotiator. And ultimately what I ended up doing is taking a job with American Express, which is where my career started really blossoming. So in the course of, let's call it 3 years, I was promoted from to a director to a vice president to a global vice president in a matter of 3 years. So I guess, and I'm not trying to give you guys too many boring life lessons here, but you've got to find your bailiwick. And this is where I kind of found my bailiwick, and where I think I kind of really became strong, which is where the information systems background really helped me, was that, and I don't think I was necessarily a jack of all trades, I think I was a master of many trades. And where I really became pretty darn good is I got into what's called the travel industry. So the travel industry is not just as simple as putting butts in an airplane or heads on a pillow in a hotel or hands on a steering wheel. You wouldn't believe, and it would take too long to explain sort of the whole background of the travel industry, but I became unbelievably knowledgeable in the travel industry, but on multiple levels. Things like distribution, things like commercial and negotiations, client management, finance, and technology. And I guess from a career management standpoint, I think a lot of kids think of it the wrong way. And I'm calling you guys kids. You're at Pledge Class 64. You oftentimes think about the job first, and then sort of the department and then the industry. What I would recommend to you guys is really think the other way around. Think industry first. Where do you really want to be an expert? And then focus there. So become an expert in healthcare, or in advertising, or for my case, travel industry, or if it's e-commerce. I mean, the list goes on, right? And then start thinking about what department and what is my optimal job in here. And that's ultimately where my career really started taking off, as I became the go-to guy when it came to anything distribution in the travel industry. And from there, I just became more and more of an expert. With my technology background, nobody could pull the wool over my eyes when somebody said, hey, it's going to cost $1 million in a year to do that project. I could always call BS. And people really appreciated that. Or really understanding the operational side of things. I guess that ultimately is where I would advise people who really are looking to get into the corporate world, who are looking to really accelerate their career, who have aspirations for senior leadership, and really focus on the industry. Don't worry about the job. The job will come. Worry about the industry and get as deep as you can. Don't ever be called the jack of all trades. Become the master of all trades. So where am I today? It's sort of interesting. I recently just left American Express. Like I said, I left American Express as global business travel, as a global vice president of distribution and commercial operations. And now I'm heading up a new line of business, so I'll be a senior vice president now, and yes, titles do matter from a career management standpoint. So I'm now an SVP of a large technology firm that's in the loyalty space. And what's really nice about this for me is they're experts in the loyalty space that are now wanting to get into the travel space. So they are in a loyalty realm where they allow people to redeem their loyalty points, like credit card points, for merchandise. And 70 to 80% of all point burn is spent on travel. So they're really looking to grow their line of business and bring on travel. So again, how has this helped me? I know that in the, what do they call it, the 6 degrees of separation, there's probably very few people in the travel industry that I couldn't get a hold of. And I think, being part of Phi Psi, really knowing that I need to lean on other people for their expertise and for their network. I guess, I know it's a bit of a yawner to hear that it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's both. Because there isn't anybody I don't know in the travel industry, or at least I couldn't pick up the phone and introduce myself. And I'm well known as a subject matter expert in the industry on any aspect of the industry. So I was tapped on the shoulder. I'm now starting up this new line of business. I'm now part of a senior leadership board member, which is really exciting for me. So it's actually, I'm on the second week on my job. I'm in a massive recruitment effort, and I'm literally standing this thing up from the ground up. So very exciting for me. So, I'm going to pause here. I think I'm coming close up onto my time, but I just wanted to kind of wrap up with the bullet points, which is lean on people, learn from them, never lose a contact. Networking is huge. And then become a master of all, not a jack of all trades. And then just from a career management standpoint, like I said, my career didn't really take off until I focused on the industry, not necessarily my job. So as you're thinking about your career, think about an industry first, then the department, and then the job, instead of the other way around. That way, I believe, you'll find yourself in a senior leadership role much faster than I was. So, Pete, I'll pause there. If there's any questions and I can't hear them, maybe they could ask you, and then I can answer the question.
Can you elaborate on the story about how you got your first job?
Mr. Way's wife's father was the, he's no longer, was the CTO or CIO, I can't remember which one, of Motorola within the Motorola semiconductor product sector. So it's who you know, right? So it's I went in and into a recruitment session from people from Duke and from North Carolina and Stanford and all of these, MIT, and when I went around to meet, I'm Rochester Institute of Technology, and hardly anybody knew who that was, and I was one of the few that ended up getting the job. And honestly, from that point, it was like, holy cow, it's because this guy, I was a known entity. I had been to his house, I had dinner, I was respectful, I had shook his hand, I shook his hand with a full, firm handshake, and he knew what he was getting. Honestly, it's not just who you know, or I should say, it's not just what you know, and I realize that it's a cliche, but who you know is just as important.
Where do you currently live, and what do you enjoy about living there?
Yep, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, to be specific. What do I love? I love the fact that 9 months out of the year, we are about 1 degree away from perfect. I mean, the weather here is fantastic. I can golf virtually year-round. There is just a ton of things to do. Outside of golf, we've got, it's a great place for concerts and festivals. I mean, there isn't a time where there isn't something to do for my wife and I and 3 kids. And it's been a great community. I would say the parts that I miss, or I should say the parts that's different to me, one that you guys couldn't care less about is the schools. I kind of find the schools are a bit shoddy. I'm not impressed with the educational system. Not rich enough to put my kids through private schools, so there'll be products of public education, but that's okay. So was I. I think I turned out okay. But at the end of the day, it's a great area. It's got a lot of good corporate presence. It's a highly technological area. So a lot of tech companies are here, and smaller tech companies, which I quite like.
What is your favorite memory, funny or serious, about being an undergrad member?
Let me think here. Let me think. You know what? Honestly, probably one of my greatest memories was Brian Ventry's bachelor party, which a bunch of us took a bus over to Syracuse. Not only was it fun and obviously full of Festivus beverages, but it was really more about the amount of fun that we had as brothers. And then, anything that was group-oriented brings back tons of memories. I don't know if you guys know Tunkhannock Park over on Cayuga Lake. We went and did a camping thing out in Tunkhannock Lake. My parents have a cottage on Cayuga, so I would take many of the brothers to my cottage, my parents' cottage. It just anything that had to do with, the parties aside, were they fun and all that kind of stuff. I mean, heck, of course, who's going to say that was not fun? So it was any time that it was not necessarily all focused around the drinking and partying and all that, but just kind of having a lot of good memories. I would say the thing at Tunkhannock Park where we all went out as an entire fraternity, just a lot of good fun. And then, the bachelor party, just anything that had to do with the group and it was a bit focused was good fun for me.
I have a question.
And I forgot, and being football champions. That's right, I forgot about that. We always had a good football team.
Our soccer team won last semester.
Nice. I was terrible at soccer.
All right, I got a question for you. This was kind of out of left field, but what was your favorite community service event when you were an undergrad?
Whatever somebody else was doing. I was probably the worst at that. What was the one that we did? We did a food bank one time. I tell you what, that was pretty amazing. And I don't remember exactly what the charity was, but we were not delivering food, but we were unloading food and cans and all sorts of stuff off of trucks. And we ended up serving food to many of the homeless and people who couldn't afford it. And it was one of those times I remember going, holy smokes, I am pretty lucky at where I am. Having, parents that are putting me through college and that I have a roof over my head and that I've got an education and, eventually I'm going to get a job and I'll be okay. And, God forbid I'll never be like this. And quite frankly, that was it enjoyable? Sure, but it was eye-opening and realizing that how lucky we are. And we've always got to constantly just bless our lucky stars because, not to be a Debbie Downer, but I've had angst in my life. I've gone through divorce and I've been remarried and have the greatest life in all of history now. And so we all go through our trials and tribulations, but at the end of the day, there's a point in time where you've got to take stock of what you do have. And I have 3 amazing children, an amazing wife. I've now got I now have a career that I think is really blossoming and I'm very proud of. And I'm active in the community, so, things ain't so bad. And a lot of those experiences I've taken with me. I still volunteer today. I do a lot with youth sports. With American Express, we would do a lot of Red Cross, and I was involved with St. Jude. I actually go to New York once a year to participate in a St. Jude charity event, and it's just really being able to count your blessings.
All right, I think that's it. All right, thanks, Jonathan.
Anybody, I'm on LinkedIn. Happy to link with you, and when you guys are on the workforce, look me up. There's another gentleman, another brother, I can't remember his name, but tried to connect him with some American Express people on the health and fitness side. Happy to help anytime. Anybody is out there looking for, their next move or their first move in the corporate world, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So, and happy for Pete to send out all my contact information.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.